Action.
Okay, and that's it. Like I
Ahora
say.
sí.
Okay, so we're gonna spend probably about, I don't even think of 40 minutes, maybe about half an hour, talking about what is covenant. Marriage is a covenant. And that's really, really, really important. And, again, this is so different from the way people look at marriage. So, Mr. Ordained Minister, so you do this, ¿verdad? You fill out these forms.
I did it one time.
Yeah, one time, so, and then the couple signed the form, ¿verdad? Okay. So, to understand what is covenant, and the fact that marriage is a covenant, we'll compare it to contract, so, because many people think that a covenant is an agreement with two people, well, a contract is an agreement with two people, and it's the same thing. Not, okay? They're very, very, very different, and if you see the difference, then you can understand, you can appreciate what a covenant is, and what marriage is in a covenant. Okay, contract. Contract is dos partidos, two parties get together, and party A says, I'll do this, and then party B says, well, my part is to do this, and this, and then you both just sign it and you make your contract, ¿verdad? So it's gonna list the things that you're gonna do, list the things that you're going to do, and you agree, and you sign it, you legalize it, and ya estuvo, ¿verdad? That's contract. Contract is the minimum you have to do. As long as Mari does this, está bien, ya cumplió. As long as David does exactly what he's supposed to do, you've done it. A contract is about the minimum. I'll give you a real good example. And you've seen this, ¿verdad? Les dije a mi hijo, my oldest son, ahí estaba la camisa tirada. I said, go take that to your room. So, la agarró. And he goes to his room, and he abre la puerta. This is his room right here. He abre la puerta. He did this. He just.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I'm sure that your kids don't do that, ¿verdad?
Oh, yes.
Pero cumplió. He did exactly what I said. I said, go take it to his room. I meant to fold it up, put it nicely, put it in the drawer, ¿verdad? But all he did was exactly the letter of the law.
The minimum.
Yeah, the minimum. And the other thing about a contract, is, you can just, zip it off, just tear it up. That's it. That's a contract. A contract is minimum. And it's, as long as you both agree. If you don't want to, tear it up, okay? Covenant is very, very different. If this is the minimum, a covenant is the most you can do to the other. And I am going to talk about what word most really means to do for the other. Wait till you see what it means. The covenant is perfect. There is no turn up. Okay. Once you have entered into a covenant, you are in forever until one of you passes away. There's another way of thinking about is to form a family not by blood, but by choice. So I don't know your family that well, but you're three brothers, ¿verdad? Did you have a choice in having three brothers?
No.
No, okay, that was their business, right?
I didn't.
Right. Did you have a choice in following God's lead and choosing David? I'll give you another example of a covenant. I've done it, but I think you have too, ¿verdad? I adopted Adelita. So she wasn't born to us. We chose her. That's a covenant. Not my kids. Not my boys. Okay? They were born to us. But Adelita was chosen. That's a covenant. So marriage is a covenant. Adoption is a covenant. All right. Qué bueno. Again, it seems pretty straightforward, but let's just really go into it. I mean, wait till you see what it really means to enter into a covenant. Now, okay, so God enters into covenants with his people, the Jews. As a matter of fact, that we didn't read it. That's fine. God, as a young man marries a young woman, so your builder shall marry you. God will marry you. As a bridegroom rejoices over his bride, so shall your God rejoice over you. God would enter into a covenant with his people, the Jews, God the Father. And it was literally like a marriage. He would form a covenant with the Jews. And they would seal it. A covenant was sealed in a very, 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 very special ritual. So I'm going to read to you, and this one I would ask you to read with me. It's on the second page. God makes a covenant with Abraham. Okay. And I read this yesterday. Apenitas era la lectura de ella, yo la leí. Antier. Okay?
Is it this side or this one? Wives and husbands?
God makes a covenant with
It's
them.
above wives and
There you
husbands.
go. God makes a covenant with Abraham. So God said, this is Abraham, and God says to Abraham, bring me a heifer, which is a cow, 3 years old, a female goat, 3 years old, a ram, 3 years old, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. So he got those animals, okay? He brought them all these, and he cut them in two, laying each half over against the other. But the birds he did not cut. What the heck? Mira, lo cortó. He cut it in two. Okay. But not the birds. Not the birds. Birds he didn't cut. Right? And when the sun had come down and it was dark, a smoking fire pot and a flame torch passed between the pieces. So this is the way they would heat the house in those days. They put charcoal in there, burn it, and then they put it in the middle of the room, and that makes your. So this is a flame, and this is the torch. Those things just passed between, and actually this picture's wrong. It passed this way. The picture is actually incorrect.
So the torch is in the middle.
Remember?
The torch is in the middle.
Yeah, the torch is actually doing it the right way. The torch passed in between the two things. Okay. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham. What the heck is that? I read this over and over, and nunca, it never made any sense to me. You know, and one day, we had a liturgy conference, and this priest, his name is Father Juncus, and he explained it to me, and I am going to explain it to you. So I need you to put your plates down, and I need you to stand up, because we're going to show it. Okay? And Betty, you need to get the cow ready.
The cow?
Both stand up right here. Okay?
We're gonna split it.
Yeah, we're gonna split it all right. Los dos aquí. Come on.
On me?
Yes, both of you. Both of you. So we have King David. Ta-da, hold on to it, and Queen Mary over here, okay? And David is from Davidland, and he's been fighting with Maryland, okay? So they've been having lots of problems. And so finally they decide to make the peace. How do you make the peace? You sign a contract, okay? So legal contract, we agree to what?
Blah, blah,
Blah,
blah,
blah, blah, blah. Very good. And also we'll do blah, 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 blah. Okay, so go ahead, sign. Ándale. Ahora, David, you sign it too. Ándale. Ándale. And now you have to shake hands, but you have to spit first. That's how we do it nowadays. When two rulers of two different countries, lo que sea, ¿verdad? They sign a contract and they agree and they have it. They do a big ceremony, and they let's take these off. So they that's how it's done modern days. But I want to show you how it's done in the old days. So David again wants to make a covenant with Mari and end this fighting. Okay? And here's how they did it. So they would take a heifer, and then they would get a slave. And they always chose the most handsome slave they could find. But in this case, I'll do it. And so the slave, lengthwise, okay? La vaca está ahí. And the slave would, and one part of the goat, the heifer was there, another part of the heifer was over there. Okay, you have to use your imagination. Sangre, caca. I mean, all sorts of guts and everything, and it smelled, whoa, it smelled horrible. So then first King David would walk slowly, and all of a sudden he's stepping on the blood, and cuidado, mijito, caca, caca! Not on that one, I'll go this way! And then he would, I know, it was a mess.
So he walked through it.
You walk through it, and then Queen Mari would walk through the crack.
Descalzo.
Descalzo, ¿verdad? Yeah, no,
Tiene que embarrarse con
Yeah. The idea was this. I'm entering into a covenant with this other person. And it's not an agreement. We're going to become family. This is a bonding. We're not just going to stop fighting. We're going to become one. And if I ever violate this covenant, may they cut me. Because this is important. So it's not a question of signing your name. It's taking a pledge that I will never violate this covenant, permanent. And you have the right to cut me in half into 2 pieces if I violate it. That's covenant test.
How come vaca?
Let's get, go ahead, go ahead and switch it, Ted. That's what it was like. That's what it was like. That's what it was like. And you see the caca and everything right there. The blood is everywhere.
Dos patas
And
para
you-
allá y dos para
And
acá.
descalzo, como dijiste, descalzo pasaba.
Sí, mira. Están dos patas de acá, las otras dos patas.
Yeah. Here's the altar. But it reminds them of the covenant that God would make with his people. But here's an interesting thing. In the Old Testament, God would make covenants with his people. And you're not supposed to break a covenant. We just showed that. Guess who broke the covenant? The Jews. They would always say, yes, God, we'll obey you, we'll follow you, we'll do what you say, and then before you know it, they would turn their backs. The last covenant is right here. Dale. Let me ask you something before you do that. Have you ever seen something like this?
No.
Really?
Well, actually, when our chickens got molded.
No, you've never seen
I'm
anything
just
like this?
kidding.
Daddy, you've never seen this?
In pictures, yes.
No, you've never seen this?
The slaughtering of a cow?
The cutting in half of a lamb?
Mm-mm.
You've never seen this? En serio, Tere.
Pues no, ¿dónde?
Noah has one of those.
Carnicería.
Mm-mm.
Dame una hit.
Ah,
Dame una hit. Otra hit. What the priest does, he takes the lamb. It's not bread anymore. He's already consecrated it. He takes the lamb, a person,
it's a covenant.
and he splits it in 2.
Oh, wow.
Look at these words. When he consecrates the blood,
Right.
when they consecrate the blood, listen to the words. Take this, all of you, and drink from it, for this is the chalice of my blood. Go back today. 2. Another one. Chalice of my blood. Go forward 2. Una más. The blood of the new and eternal covenant. The last covenant is not between God and the Jews. The last covenant is between Christ and his church. And that covenant is renewed every time you go to Mass. There's a lot more. We're not finished. Okay. Listen to the words. This is your one sex talk. Okay? When he does the body, when he consecrates the body, he raises what is bread. Okay? Just bread. And this is just bread. He raises bread, and then he says these words. Take this, all of you, and eat it, for this is my body which will be given up for you. So it's a sacrament, and the key word of a sacrament is take. What other sacrament is there where you use the word take? Do you take this man for your husband? Do you take this woman for your wife? It's the same words in marriage as in consecration. This is my body which will be given up for you. This is the only time I'm going to talk about sex. Catholic theology about sex is not that it's dirty, it's that it's beautiful. But remember the I? There is no I even in sex. That's for sure. S-E-X. There's no I in sex. It's not about my pleasure. In sex, you are to give your body to your spouse for her, his enjoyment. You are to give your body to the other. This is my body which is given up for you. It's actually sexual connotation. Given up for you. Okay? We're still not there. We're still not there. Okay? A little bit more and we'll get there. Uno más. David, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this one. All the guys love this. This is the infamous passage from Ephesians chapter 5. Memorize that. Put that into your brain. Ephesians chapter 5. Because this is the one about wives should be subordinate to their husbands and obey them in todo eso. You want to read this? I'll read it, okay?
Go ahead.
It's right here, okay? I want you guys to read it with me. But only, this time we're going to do something funny. David, I want you to count how many times you see the word Christ. Mari, I want you to count how many times you hear the word church. Okay? It starts off great. Be subordinate to one another out of reverence for Christ. Wives should be subordinate to their husbands as to the Lord. Mira nomás, hey, she should serve you all the time. You just, hey, Mari, tráeme, okay?
Palomita.
Ándale, yeah. Estás el rey, Víctor. That's el rey. For the husband is head of his wife, just as Christ is the head of the church. Christ himself, the Savior of the body, and the church subordinate to Christ. So wives should be subordinate to their husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ loved the church, and handed himself over to her, sanctifying her, cleansing her by the bath of water, that he might present to himself the church in splendor, without spot or wrinkle, such thing as she might be holy. So husbands should love their wives in their own body, who loves her, for no one hates his own flesh, but nurses it, even as Christ does the church, because we are members of his body. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and his mother, and be joined, and two shall become. This is a great mystery, but I speak in reference to Christ and the church. In any case, each one of you should love his wife as himself, and the wife should respect her. How many times does the word Christ?
7.
7. How many times is the word church? 6. Did you know that he says the word husband only 5 times? So is he talking about Christ and church? Or is he talking about husband and wife? Husband and wife. What is he talking about? Okay? Is he saying to understand the relationship between Christ and his church, you have to understand the relationship between a husband and a wife? Or is he saying to understand the relationship between a husband and his wife, look at Christ and his church? Which one is it?
Second one.
Both.
Oh.
If you want to know one, you looked at the other. If you want to know the other one, and then on the other hand, I'll give you a third one. If you understand your relationship as a man, look at our relationship. Even though it's not marriage, it's a model for you guys. Okay, it is a model for you guys, just as Christ and his church. Okay? Saint Paul is one of the most beautiful. It has nothing to do with being macho. It has nothing to do with you being submissive to David. It has nothing to do with that. It has something to do with you in your marriage to be, not now, but in the Catholic sacramental marriage, are going to become the Christ. And you, in the future marriage on September 2nd, are going to become the church. Okay? That's why I had you light the candle. You are the Christ figure. You're going to notice that I give you preferential treatment. I say, David, do this. David, lead us. David, do this. And you are secondary to him. Okay? But before you get a big head about it, I do have a question for you. Dame una. Okay. Una. What did Christ do for his church? David, since you are the Christ figure, what did he do for his church?
He gave his. He died for the church.
You're the first person that ever got it. I'm serious. I've asked dozens and dozens and dozens of people. ¿Te acuerdas de Ricardo?
Se tardó,
Would you
pero
die?
no se quedó.
No, pero nunca la pescó. He's the only one that's ever got it. Ever.
Hey, I said it in my head.
Okay, go ahead, Tere. He died for her.
I remember that movie, The Seven Signs. Would you die for him?
Okay. So, are you ready to die for him? Yeah, right, David. Right. I've done this. He is the very first person ever to have answered that. But I've done this. And se quedan asustados, you know. Pero one guy came up and he says, Rico, yeah. You know, you're right. If a burglar ever comes in front of the, into my yard, I'll stand in front of my wife and I'll take the bullet. You know. Bien macho, you know. I said, sit down, hijito, sit down. You missed it. You missed it. You missed the point. You are the Christ figure and she is the church figure. Christ died for his church. You are to die for his wife. That means every moment of your marriage, you will let her have her way. You will always say what you need, Mai. To die for her is to have her in your priorities and not yourself. The I becomes the you. And if it's time for the Super Bowl, and you're ready, and you got your chicken wings and your papitas and whatever, and you're sitting on the TV, and she wants to watch a novela, you are going to watch a novela. That is death. And we're talking Super Bowl, hijito. Okay? Dallas Cowboys against the, no. Okay? I'm real proud of you. You're the only, and we're talking maybe about 40, 50 people that I've done this with. You're the only ones that have said it.
I feel like that was such an easy question.
Nope.
Me too.
Nope.
Because you said it.
No. Okay, Mari? How did the early church grow? It's a little bit more complicated question.
The early church.
Mm-hmm.
the Catholic
First 100
church.
years of the church,
Oh.
after the death of Christ, after he died.
through his disciples, teachings and.
You want to know how the church grew? And it started with 12 disciples. And it was all over the world in about 50 years. And now we're 1.4 billion Catholics. You know how it grew? On the martyrs. The death of the martyrs. So here are the Christians. These guys have already been burnt on the stake. And these guys are about to become lunch for the lion. All these people here, the Romans, they came to watch a show. And what they want to do is see the Christians running and trying to escape from the lion, and the lion catching them and eating them up. But they're not running. They're kneeling with their leader and they're praying. They're about to die, but they're not afraid. And there's a guy right here, aquí, right there, right there. You see him right there? Is it right there? And he says, what the heck's going on? Why are these Christians not afraid to die? Christians, this Christ that I've heard about. Why are they willing to die for this guy? And because they die, he will become eventually a Christian. They are witnessing to him. The word martyr does not mean you die. The word martyr means you witness. So, Mari, are you willing to die for David? Yes or no question? Yeah, I guess. Maybe. And you know already what I mean by die. It's every instant. So if he wants to watch the Super Bowl and you want to watch the novela,
Let him watch the Super Bowl.
okay. Instead of your arguments being, this is what I want to watch this. This is what I want to watch this. Your arguments should be this way. Whatever you want, Tere.
No, whatever you want.
No, lo que quieras.
No, whatever you want, Tere.
Okay.
No. So you know what you want. No, what you want. No, what you want. Yeah. Your fights should literally be, I want you.
Let's flip a coin.
One hit. And another. What does it mean to be in a covenant relationship that you die for each other? Not when a thief walks into the house, it's every moment of the marriage. I cannot emphasize this enough. It is the good of the other, the death of self. You get rid of the I, and your marriage is all about what is important to your spouse, to your children, to the community. I don't. Because I am loved already, completely by him. I need to give love to others. Go ahead and stand up. David, you grab her hands. And you look at her. And she's beautiful. And you want to promise to her everything. And you say to her, Mari, all I want to do is what you want. I want to die for you. So I want to stop. Mari, you look at his eyes. You say, David, I'll do everything in my power
Do everything in my power
to die for you.
to die for you. Rico, I'll do everything in my power to die.
Wow. That's covenant. permanent, it is the most you can do for the other. What is the most you can do for the other? Die! What was the least you can do? Put that stupid shirt right there. Okay? Contract covenant, contract covenant. The most you can do is give up everything of self for the other. Go see that movie and you'll see the exact opposite. Okay? The little girl was sacrificing herself for her father. God bless her for doing that. And at the end of the movie, it's what I want to do by my daddy. That's what the world will tell you. Okay. I actually encourage you to see the movie. It's cute. It is a cute movie, but listen to the message. Listen to the message because that's what the world is teaching you. It's all about you. It's all about the other.
It is okay to be selfish. That's what the Lord teaches
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I think I'm at the end. So, I mean, I just said it, but it's a covenant, the least of the most you can do.
The most.
And what's the most you can do is die for the other. Okay? Is it temporary, permanent?
Permanent.
Yeah. Or otherwise, let them cut me in half. Is the covenant about you or about the other?
The other.
And what do you have to do for the other? Yeah, die. Okay. So who is the Christ? You are. No, you are the Christ figure. You lead. You lead. But you lead unto death. And you follow. And you follow unto death. He is the leader. He is the head of the house. But he is the head of the house in a sacrificial way. He is the one who sacrifices the most. Entiendes? You are the Christ figure. You're the church. The church. There. I started this by telling you, I'm trying to present for you a new way of looking at marriage. Okay? And I want you to think about these things. And you can say, no, I don't believe that. I don't believe God is in charge. That's okay. But I want you to consider it and think about it. I will ask you, do you buy into that? And you really should be honest and say, no, I don't believe that. Or maybe, I'm thinking about it. Marriage is not about me, it's about the other. Both body and soul. A pen and $400. And we have a dual nature. So what's more important, take care of the pen or take care of the $400? In your thing, this is just for you to take home. Okay, this is a very small sermon by Bishop Barron, but he talks about the ego drama, and he talks about the theo drama, and see what you think about it. Ego drama is about me. Theo drama is about him. And over here, we often hear life is short, better enjoy it. How about eternity is long, better prepare for it. So that's talking about body and soul. And then the last one is this one. And I want you to take it home and think about it. That's literally your homework, is to think about the green page. Do you buy that or did you not? And if you don't, okay, be honest. You still can get your marriage. I'm not going to say, hey, no, they don't get married. Well, no. Okay. But I do want you to consider a different way of looking at what marriage is. And we'll continue on next week with the same thought. It's still going to be this. It's still going to be a different way of looking at what's going on. But next week, we're talking about how you, well, the first topic is what is love? What is real love? This way. And then how do you interact? How do you communicate? How do you present yourselves to each other? This way. And it's a very long talk. Very long. Maybe, ¿sabes qué? Maybe more something like sandwiches. Así pueden comer mientras que comenzamos. How's that? Something like that. That way, like finger sandwiches or something like that. Or taquitos. No, está bien.
Algo que pueden agarrar así.
Así mientras que están, yeah. So that way because we'll have a 15-minute break, but then, there's a long, la segunda plática está bien larga. Hoy no. Hoy, it was half an hour. It turned out to be half an hour, yeah. It won't be half an hour next week. So, let's just plan that, okay? All right? So let's stand. We'll say the prayer, and then I encourage you a hug and any other business that goes with a hug. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. You've just presented us with what is possible. You've just enlightened us with what can be. And then you gave us this incredible gift of freedom, of free will. We can choose. This is the life that I embrace in my marriage or not. I want it to be something different. So on the one hand, you give us this incredible beauty. On the other hand, you give us the right to choose. Help us to make the best decision for our marriage, for our children, and for our very lives.